Michael Vigil is the former chief of international operations of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Administration, or DEA. He joins us from Albuquerque in New Mexico. Thank you so much for joining us, Mike. First of all, let's get a handle on how bad the narco problem is in Ecuador.
The narco problem in Ecuador is very serious. And now you have competing groups, such as the Mexican cartels, the Jalisco New Generation cartel, the Sinaloa cartel. You have Albanian mafia in Ecuador, and then you have armed gangs. So Ecuador has become literally a war zone. And it used to be a very, very peaceful country. I remember walking around the streets of Ecuador in Quito, and you were safe. And, there was relatively little crime. And now it's just mushroom.
Michael, these two groups have been now designated as terrorist groups. Now, what does that actually mean? What does that mean practically?
It only means that the government can take three actions. One, they can seize bank accounts of those designated groups here in the United States. Secondly, they can sanction American citizens who provide material support to these groups. And then thirdly, it attempts to prevent them from entering the United States. It's not going to have an impact. A lot of people think that this allows for military intervention, and it doesn't. It's really symbolic because all those actions that are brought forth by, terrorist network designation, we've been doing for decades.
So, Michael, the question begs itself here. How does this actually, moniker being attached to these groups, if you will, really also reflect what's actually the actual dynamics of these gangs?
Well, the thing is that Donald Trump is carrying on a campaign that is based on show and political theater. I think that the United States can send individuals there, for example, DEA, other foreign partners, to help them fight all of this drug trafficking and the violence. And this violence started shortly after the FARC, the Armed Revolutionary Forces of Colombia, signed a peace accord with the government. And that left a void in the southern regions of Colombia, also along the Ecuadorian border. And all of a sudden, different crime groups moved very quickly to try to fill that void. And a lot of the violence is directed at taking control over two principal seaports on the Pacific side, which is Guayaquil, and then also Esmeraldas.
Michael, really between the lines, it also seems now there's a policy of, attack first and ask questions later, or indeed ask questions at all. That's up to debate as well. And this recent attack in the Caribbean is evidence of that.
I think that what they're trying to do is militarize counter-drug efforts, and that is never a good idea because our military is very well trained, but they're not trained in counter-drug efforts. And the blowing up of this small boat in the Caribbean yesterday is really indicative of that. They said that the boat was carrying drugs. There's no evidence of that. They said it was the Tren de Aragua. The Tren de Aragua does not engage in transportation of drugs. They distribute drugs, but not very large quantities. The Trump administration said that there were 11 people on that boat, which is ridiculous if there were 11 people on the boat, because normally they have a crew of 3, maybe 4. So I strongly suspect that these were individuals that were fleeing the Maduro regime, immigrants. And the thing is that they could have stopped them
Michael?
and taken them into custody if they did have drugs.
Michael, thank you so much for your time. Michael Vigil, there, former chief of international operations of the U.S. Drug Enforcement Agency.
Thank you.